Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to Empower Our Crown Self-Care Sunday. Today is a very special Self-Care Sunday because we are honoring our mothers. We are so excited to have our special guest today as we just highlight Mother's Day, a Mother's Day tribute. In this episode, we want to be mindful and intentional with honoring all types of mothers. We know that some moms are here with us physically, some are with us spiritually, and some are not. So as we are going through this episode, I just really want to be mindful of who the speakers are. I'm so excited to hear them and hear their stories and really share some important tools that we can utilize, whether we're mothers or just fans of mothers, daughters, sons, anything, you name it. We want to make sure that we're signifying the importance of motherhood. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Pilar. I'm the founder of Empower Our Crown, which is an organization that I founded to empower women and girls primarily to become mentally and emotionally competent world changers. It's very important for me that I am bridging the gap between mental health and wellness and leadership advancement for my communities worldwide. You know, Empower Our Crown was birthed out of a place of pain. And I always say, it wasn't launched, it was birthed because it's my baby. It's my baby, and it's something that its aunties share. And I want to highlight them too before we get into the segment. So Ive, will you just share who you are?
Absolutely. So my name is Ivy. I am the Executive Secretary and Financial Director of Empower Our Crown. It's a pleasure to be in the room with you all tonight, although we're not together. We're virtually in the room together, so it is a pleasure. Just a few virtual house rules, and I will drop these in the chat as well. If folks can mute themselves if they're not speaking, just to mitigate any background noise. And I really want to highlight the chat. If you're hearing anything or you want to engage, please use the chat feature so that we can connect even while speakers are talking. So thank you very much.
And Brianna.
Hey everyone, I'm Brianna, and I'm the Director for Community Engagement and Outreach, and welcome today on a very special day, Mother's Day. I'm so excited to hear from all of you all and to just really share this space. So welcome everyone.
Thank you so much. Couldn't do this without my team, so I appreciate you all from the depths of my soul. The first thing that we're going to do tonight is watch a clip. And Lindsay, thank you again for sharing this clip. This clip is with Lindsay's mom, actually. And when she posted it today, I was like, wow, this touched my spirit because this is exactly what I wanted to portray in this segment. So I'm going to play that.
Many ways in which women nurture and mother and...
Hold on. Could you guys hear that? You can hear it? Okay. So I'll share this screen.
And shepherd and parent and love and guide and teach and it goes on. And God made us that way. There was a reason why he created woman in the way that he did. He fashioned us that way. And we live in a world, too, that really doesn't talk about that much, doesn't talk about the importance and the design of the woman and the role of the woman in the rearing of children, in the hand of family, and even in the world. And so I just want to thank God today for that, and also for my mother. This is the first year without my mother, and she was a woman of faith and a woman of prayer. And so her legacy continues in me and in my daughters, and it will in my grandson, and it will go on. And so I just want to, again, thank God for all of you. And I just want to say, a prayer, just for thanks for all of you. Father, I just thank you today, for this truly is the day that you have made. God, I thank you for each and every mother, every woman who will hear this. I pray that you will bless them, that you will keep them, that you will sustain them, Lord, that you would encourage them, that they would know their worth, and that it's not about, fame and fortune and, fanfare. It really, really isn't. But it really is about the impartation and the investment of ourselves in the lives of our children, in the lives of our families, in the lives of our communities, in the places that we influence. And so, God, I thank you today that you have allowed us, Lord, to shepherd and to love and to rear and to influence the people that we have had the opportunity to. And I pray, Father, that even in this time of uncertainty and in this time where things are very different and they will never be the same, that we will go forward in great faith, in a greater faith, that we would go forward in a greater determination, that we would go forward and just do and be all that you intend for us to do and be until you return. And I thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Lindsay, thank you so much for that tribute. You know, it was a tribute for love. It was a tribute for power. It was a tribute for intention. And it was a tribute for authenticity. You know, I think there's so much power in just in your mom's voice. You know, I was just hearing it was so soothing and motherly. And we have to be, and I'm honoring you women today and Royal, of course you, but for the mothers, especially the investment, like your mom said, the influence and the impact that is made of being a mother is unparalleled. So I appreciate you. And I kind of just want to hear from people, if you will, what did that video do for you? What resonated? What stood out? It could be words, it could be feelings, it could be emotions. And just, you don't have to say it out loud, just put it in the chat. A word that comes to mind, comes to heart, comes to spirit. And welcome, Veronica. Hi, Lenny.
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm
Hi,
doing well,
everyone.
thank you.
Good. Hi, Lenisha. Okay. Radical love, amen. You're welcome. Lineage, radical love, legacy and community. Absolutely. So Aronica and Lanisha, we just listened to a segment that Lindsay, one of our special speakers for today, and her mom had. It was a prayer on motherhood, you know, being a mother, what that means, the impact, the influence, the importance of motherhood. And today, you know, I knew it was going to be an intimate setting, but I know it's going to be so powerful because of who and what we're talking about and who we're sharing this time with. So thank you. I want to invite the first speaker of the day, Miss Sarah, who I, you know, am so happy to know and meet and grow with, because we're new friends, you know, we're new friends and business partners. Ivy put her bio in the chat so you can learn more about her. And we will start off by just hearing about you, Sarah. Who are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that we're new friends. I'm really excited for this new connection. So my name is Sarah Melcher. It's more like, what don't I do? I'm a nurse, I'm a mother of two, I'm a single mother of two. I was an entrepreneur for the last 4 years in the health and fitness field. In September, I transitioned more to personal development. I've always loved empowering people. As a speaker, I started a podcast, started live events, and it's just been, you know, hitting the ground running ever since then. Just, you know, meeting people, empowering people, coaching people, and that's pretty much what my life consists of.
Mm-hmm. It's so nice to know you. And you do wear so many hats and you do it so well. And you do it so energetically. I love watching you, whether it's, on your little dance parties on your Instagram, to just seeing how you empower people through your authenticity. It's been amazing to see. So I'm so excited for this. But
Thank you.
no problem. But for today, I really want to talk about how you define motherhood.
Hmm. So I was thinking about this question pretty much all day. And motherhood, oh boy, for me has been such a learning experience. I think it's this teaching and learning experience, exchange between you and your children from the moment they're born. One thing that I learned from a mentor actually just a few days ago, it's funny, you hear things exactly when you're supposed to. And this spiritual mentor was saying that we spend so much time and focus on learning how to be the best parent or how to do things the right way, the wrong way. When the baby's in your belly, you're reading all the books. And really, we just have to just wait and learn from our children. They will teach us everything that they need. When your baby cries, they need. And then what is it? A process of elimination. Do they need milk? Do they need a diaper change? Do they need love? Right? Just listening to our kids. And I learned that late in motherhood. My kids are 9 and 12. And I'm finally at a place where I'm like, it's not, don't do that. It's not stop. It's not this, that. It's what do you need? You're really upset right now. You're really emotional right now. Tell me, what is it that you're feeling? Why are you so emotional? Can you please share with me? You're climbing on top of my dresser. What's the goal here? And my son will usually say, he's 9 years old. He loves to climb on my dresser. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see him on my dresser like at least once a week. And I always ask him, I said, Mikhail, what's the goal here? What are we doing? And just like that, people laugh at me because that's how I talk to my kids. And he'll say, oh, I'm Spider-Man. And we'll have an exchange of words, and I'm like, I love that you're Spider-Man, but that's not safe. And we're constantly trying to protect them, and they just want to be kids. Their spirit, God gives us this gift of children as the purest form of life, and then we come we're thinking we know it all, and we don't know, no, and we really just have to stop and learn and listen. So that's motherhood for me.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like for you, motherhood is an exchange of spirituality and listening. Those are the key words that I heard from you. Just, taking your time to kind of meet the child where they are, meet your child where they are. Like, yes, I see you on the dresser, but it's not safe. It's fun, but it's not safe. And I liked how you said you're just like, you checked in with a spiritual mentor to like remind you kind of what you already knew.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all within us.
Yeah.
And I'll add, I should add that I grew up with a single mother. My mother passed away after my second son was born. So I'll get into that. I was a very young mother. I had my kids at 21 and 23. So my mom passed away at 24. I still had no idea how to be a mother. So it was really important for me to learn from my kids, like what they need, when they need, and how to really, care for them. Because I literally had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, I can laugh now, but it's been crazy. It's been a crazy 13 years.
Wow, I can only imagine. And you do so well, and that's why I was like, I need to have her. I don't know what it is, but my spirit led me to just highlight you and your journey as a mom. And you said it hasn't been the easiest journey, and honoring your mom as well, but you kind of like didn't even get a full chance to kind of learn as much of how to be a mom. So big ups to you. Thank you for being a mom. And how would you say your typical day looks like being a mom?
I kind of giggled at this one. Oh my goodness. Well, right now, everyone, parenting is weird. You guys, moms know that right now. Parenting is so weird right now. Usually, we'd be up, like we'd have to be up by 6 and we're getting ready. And I'm fighting with one to get matching socks on. And the other one is, he wakes up and he's ready by 6:30. The other one's, I'm pulling him off the bed and I'm trying to get ready, trying to get my scrubs on. And it's so weird right now.
Yeah.
They sleep until like 10, I'm already out the door to work. You know, they're just getting up and they're like, I want breakfast. And I'm like, nah, kid, I gotta go to work. Like, I'm out. You guys want to sleep all morning. I gotta go. And, you know, and I live with family right now. So thank goodness, like I have some support. But right now it's very strange. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's other stressors. It's not rushing in and out of the door, but instead it's okay, this is your routine for the day. I'm not here to supervise you because I'm a frontliner. So it's your responsibility to pass 7th grade and 4th grade. You know what I mean? So like a lot of encouragement, a lot of bribery.
Yeah.
I am not afraid to say it. There's a lot of saying yes if it's not gonna, you know, harm you or, you know, like steer you wrong right now. Like, yes, you can play Fortnite for a little extra time because, you know, we're all trying to stay sane. We're all trying to have more joy, right? So yeah, there's a lot of routine, discipline, you know, exchange of things like, okay, if you do this, then you can play your game.
Right.
It's weird. I come home from nursing and then it's, you know, it's like, did you do your work? But they're home. So it's kind of strange.
Right. It sounds like there's been a major shift. You know, I know the pandemic has caused a shift for many, but I can only imagine what it does for moms. You know, you all are already the people who keep the household together, you know, while also keeping your lives together and everyone you encounter's lives together. So,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, I'm not a
Not
mom.
a great substitute teacher at all. Like really hats off to all of the teachers. I am not a good substitute teacher. And I was out of work for a little bit because I had an asthma flare. So I was home and present and I was so lost. Like I know the teachers are like, oh, well, take care of your own kids. And then the moms are like, where are the teachers? And like everybody's like going at it. And I don't know how to be a teacher. I'm many things. I'm just not a teacher. So that part has been so mind blowing.
Yeah. I could only imagine. So, what do you think the most challenging part of motherhood has been for you?
Not having a role model, probably, and disciplining your children when there's very two different parenting styles there. So I've been a single mom pretty much the whole time. I mean, I had a relationship with my son's father and it ended. It was off and on. So it was very inconsistent for them. So they've like, you know, had to endure the inconsistency and the like broken dynamic, whatever you want to call it. So disciplining when there's two very different parenting styles and I'm saying things one way, he's saying things this way, and the kids are just here. I don't, you know, like I don't really like what you're saying. I don't really like what you're saying. So that's probably been the most challenging. And to add, my children do have different fathers. So there's a lot of people in the bucket, like trying to, you know, tell how to do this and how to do that. So that's probably been the uphill battle for us.
Yeah. Just so many different, like you said, there's so many different hands in the bucket, you know?
Yeah, like, just let me do my thing. You guys.
Right. Right. You can only do so much. You can only control what's in front of you, you know, and how you love them and how you discipline them. And yeah, that seems like it would be very challenging. But what's the most successful thing?
I have always been my children's safe place, and I really take a lot of pride in that. Just, you know, maybe coming from someone who didn't really have a safe space as a child, I held all my emotions in. And one thing that I've learned on my journey, you know, teaching and coaching clients, is that our childhood is like where we learn our whole identity. If someone tells me, you know, you're short, you're shy, you're the dancer, you're the fun one, you believe it, right? Because that's when you learn all those things. So definitely, I just lost my train of thought. I was just saying, what was I? I just lost my train of thought.
What's successful? Like you.
Yeah, so I'm the same. I'm their safe place. So I've always been the place where they can come and express their emotions and express like what is bothering them. My son can come to me and say, "Mommy, like I'm so anxious. I can't believe I have to open this tablet and do all of these assignments. I'm so, you know, like this worries me. I'm afraid I'm not going to pass." Like they would never say that to their father. So I take a lot of pride in that. I can make them safe and comfortable here at home.
Yeah. And I love that you said a safe space because safety for children is the catalyst for who they're going to be when they're adults. If that safety doesn't exist, then they can easily, matriculate into unsafe people.
Mm-hmm.
So you being their safe zone, you being their constant, safety net is just so powerful. And I'm just thinking about it from like a psych perspective with children. Like the more safety they have when they're younger, the easier it is for them to model that as they're growing. The easier it is for them to identify that safety in other people. Imagine if you didn't have a safety as a child. You'll go anywhere and
You
deem it
seek
home.
it outside. You go and seek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm actually going to write that down. Safety. Okay. Okay. So the next question is, what is your motherly superpower?
I would say, I'm very compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be a challenge when you are a single mother of two. Like, I know a lot of mothers that live a similar lifestyle and they're on edge, they're full of anxiety, and I'm able to choose compassion, choose patience, choose, calm.
Yeah.
I'm very mellow. Like, I'm not always very mellow. Don't get me fooled, but don't be fooled. But I can definitely choose compassion and choose to pause and listen before I react.
Yeah. I can tell that you're compassionate, and I can tell that you are a safety zone. I can tell that you are a mom who's flexible and willing to meet the child where they are while also incorporating a level of discipline that's needed to support. So I appreciate you being so truthful and honest and safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the last question of the night, Sarah, is how do you encourage other moms? How do you model your compassion, your safety, your power to other moms, and what advice would you give?
Ooh. I think I'll bring it back to what I said earlier, how like your children will show you exactly what they need. So letting them be children. I think that we're in a world where we constantly want to protect ourselves. We constantly want to protect our children. But my story is so powerful because of the hard times that I endured, because of the resiliency that I've, grown over the years. So although I want to protect my children, I also have to let them be. I have to let them experience other children, experience things that happen in middle school. Middle school was a horror for me. I was bullied. I had no friends. Like, I was made fun of. And it breaks my heart every time my son goes to school and he tells me something bad. But in my heart, I know he has to live life. He has to go through these experiences to learn, and so that he can also be a powerful man when he grows up. And he can also, have life experiences to teach others. So Aronica said in the chat, I choose blank.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm going to step in front of my children, and, obviously, like, I do this work for a living, right? I do this personal development, but that's why I do what I do, because I want to help others choose joy, choose light, choose love. And my kids will laugh at me because I tell them, I said, can we take some deep breaths? Can we choose joy right now? Can we choose love? Can we choose to be calm? And they will laugh at me. They're not receptive of it all the time, but I'm consistent.
Right.
I'm consistent. I do this over and over and over again. So they know now, mommy's the calm hippie.
Mhm.
but they know that I've been able to choose calm, choose joy, choose love before I explode and react. So I always like to remind moms that we have that choice. One of my mentors calls it it's a disc of emotions.
Mhm.
So instead of choosing my emotion based on the fact that he knocked over my ring light that I just bought off Amazon, I'm going to choose patience and listen. What happened? Explain. Okay, all right, this only cost $20. That's okay. We can tape it up. You know what I mean? Instead of
Yeah.
which is normal first mom's reaction.
Definitely. And I thank you. I want to read some of the comments that so many people are having something to say. So Lindsay said just being present for them is important. Truth, there is no manual for this. So kudos to you, Sarah. And thank you for your frontline service during this time. Aronica said, be able to adopt. That's so key. Lanisha, my fellow therapist, psych expert, she said safety, healthy attachment styles. And that's very key, because I think and we're not parents, but the attachment styles for parenting and children are also a catalyst for who and what the child is going to be. So you have your avoidant, attachment styles. You have you're dangerous, you have people who are really dangerous as parents. And through that, their children learn that danger and then model it. But then you have healthy attachment styles where you are being very intentional in your balance, your balance as a parent, where you're able to implement effective parenting by showing love, but also implementing some, discipline, but in a healthy way.
Yes.
In a healthy way. And then Aronica said, I choose. We have the choice. Everything that we do in life, even despite any harsh circumstances, struggles, any challenges that we may face, we have a choice on how we respond. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we react to what happens to us. So I love that you said that, Aronica. And it's so important. And Brianna, she said, you're an amazing mom despite your story. No, you are an amazing mom because of your story. You're amazing, Sarah. Consistency is key. From Aronica. And Lindsay said, middle school was a horror. I agree. And it's so powerful that you're able to consider that for yourself and prepare for your son's experience and be able to walk through it. And then, yes, consistency and compassion. But I like that part, Lindsay, that you said, because sometimes we go through things when we're children, and a lot of the times we're modeling that through our adulthood, whether it's through our parenting or through our teaching styles or through our relationships, friendships. Like, we model what we've been through. And if you're not intentional in identifying that thing that you went through, then sometimes it's hard to teach someone else to get out of it. People always say, you don't know, like, if you haven't gone through it, you don't really know how to share. But you were able to say, hey, I was bullied. So because I was bullied, since my son's experiencing this, I know I have to let him learn, but I can love him through it. But he has to learn that this resiliency comes through trial and error. So thank you. And before we transition to the next speaker, I really just want to make sure everyone knows how to find you, on social media, what you do. Can you just put that in the chat so we can know and follow you and support you in your endeavors? Okay. Awesome. So everyone follow her on Instagram, support her business, support her energy, support her motherhood. Sarah, thank you again for being a rock star mom. I love to say moms are superheroes. You have a special superhero. Your power is compassion. So thank you for your compassion. Next speaker is Royal. So excited to interview you. I know I've interviewed you so many times, and we have constant conversations about, who you are as a person, but I really want other people to hear who you are, what you do, and share some light. And before you do that, I just wanted to give some context. Well, Royal's not a mom. I know, in case we couldn't tell. But I wanted to give a male perspective on what motherhood means to him, because moms have sons. You all have sons. Sarah and Lindsay have sons. So hearing from a son what a mother means to him is very essential in our understanding the other side of motherhood. So Royal, without further ado, I would love for you to just share kind of who you are.
Okay, greetings everyone.
Thanks.
I'd say, first of all, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, for more than 20 years. And I like to say that on that journey of being an entrepreneur, I made some very poor choices that I thought I wasn't going to be able to come back from.
Mhm.
And when I came back from those poor choices, I learned from them, and I made it become my mission to help other people avoid the pitfalls that I wasn't able to avoid. And then for that, I became a transformational speaker.
Mhm.
And I also opened up a community where I can, to bridge the gap in communities, like for arts, youth empowerment, and community development. So it's like a safe haven for other people to be able to seek help, support, and becoming their best selves.
Awesome. Sounds like you do a lot for your community. And I like that you say transformational speaker, because it seems like it kind of describes your journey. You're transforming through these different stages of life, and you're able to create a space and a platform for people to understand the significance of transformation, one point to another. It's an ongoing journey to who you're becoming. So
It's a lifetime commitment.
yes, a lifetime commitment. Thank you. Okay, so from a male perspective, what does motherhood symbolize for you?
Well, I say motherhood is radical love, right? To nurture without bias, to give without any conditions, to care for, not because if you do something right, I'll give you the love, but I'm gonna love you anyway, no matter who you are, no matter what you do. I'm gonna stand by your side and give you the support you need so you can become your best self. I say that, that's what motherhood symbolizes to me. Also, and I'll also say motherhood is consistency. Like the rhythm of motherhood doesn't change. It doesn't go off beat. It's consistent, and it lasts indefinitely. And after the person, after a mother may not be here anymore in a physical form.
Yeah, I love that analogy and that metaphor. Like mothers are like a rhythm, a consistent rhythm that never goes off beat. That's powerful because, it just, like you said, it's the consistency of motherhood that is so powerful and lasting. It's an lasting, endless rhythm. And I really like that. Okay, so the next question is, in my experience, even with my mom, she loves her girls. She loves her girls. But her son, that is her everything. I mean, he can say boo, and she'll be like, oh my God, my baby said boo. And I'm like, what? He just said boo, and that happens so much. I see that in, my aunts. I see that in my friends' moms who have sons. I'm like, why is that? What goes on with a mother and a son that is so different, that is so special and unique, that transpires? So can you talk a little bit about that mother-son or son-mother relationship?
Well, I'll give you a story. I'll be a little bit vulnerable here. I'll give you a story. So I remember. So I've done some time in prison, and my mother, she didn't speak any English. She's been in America. She was in America for a long time, but she stayed within her community, and because of that, it stopped her from being able to learn English the way she could have. And I remember my mother one time coming to visit me in prison. And while she was at the visit, behind the plexiglass, she's looking at me, and then she was thinking, and she said innocently and naively, she said, you think you could ask the CEO or whoever's in charge, you think you can ask them if I can come inside your cell and stay with you? You think they would let that happen? And I'm like, Ma, nah, they would absolutely not. And I started to get upset because, like, why would you say that? I wouldn't let you stay in here. But that's when it hit me. The way my mother loved me was a love like I've never seen before. And a kind of love that I don't think I'd be able to see again. For her to be willing to sacrifice her freedom and ask me if she can come stay with me inside my cell. So the love of a mother to a son is almost, is almost a crazy type of love.
It's an unconditional, sacrificial love. I mean, to even hear that your mom asked you, can you ask the COO if I can be in your cell? If I could sleep with you to make sure you're okay? Not even, and you said naively, but I would just say passionately. Because her love for you was so strong that she was willing to sacrifice, 1, freedom, 2, time, 3, comfortability. She was so willing to put herself in your shoes with no hesitation. And I like get chills thinking about that, because it's like, wow, moms can do that.
Without bias,
No hesitation.
So, a mother's love for his son, mothers love their children, but a mother's love for their son is unique. It's different. Just like a dad's love for a daughter. It's different.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your honesty and your radical truth. The next question is, I want to just make sure that people know this. I know that we've spoken about it, Royal, but Royal's mom has passed, and he is someone who constantly honors his mom as if she was still here. I know that, when I met you, you let me, like, you were talking about your mom, and I was like, oh, she must be here still. You were talking about her as if she was physically here. And then you told me, well, she's not here. And my heart just sunk. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do you keep that love so strong? How do you keep her legacy alive and her presence so full in rooms when she's not physically here? How do you do that?
So, for a while, I dealt with guilt and shame, a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, because my whole life, I always put tears in my mother's eyes. I always made her cry. She made a lot of sacrifices for me. And I feel that I've always failed her. Not because I didn't love her, but because I thought my way of making her happy was better than the way that she wanted me to make her happy. And, when I got out of prison, I made a decision that I was going to make her happy before, God takes her away. And 3 months before I opened up the community center, my mother passed away. Right. So for me, it was huge, because to me, she never got a chance to see me succeed. A mother raises you so you can be a great member of society. And I felt that she's seen the opposite my whole life. And I was about to show her the other side of it. And right when I was about to show her that, she passed. And at that moment, I was very upset with God, because I felt like I made a promise to God that I was going to change my life if he allowed her to continue on to see me succeed. And she passed. And for a while, I struggled with guilt and shame. But then I learned that I needed to give myself grace.
Yeah.
Right? I needed to give myself grace so I could go on, because I began to think about it like this. Life is a race. And in a race, the person who's running runs their leg, and after that, they pass on the baton. And she ran her race, and now she passed me the baton, and it was my time for me to continue it and go further than where she reached, right? And that gave me closure. That gave me hope. that made me want to live all over again, because the race didn't end when my mother died.
Right.
Actually, the next part of the race began when she
Mm-hmm.
died. So now it's my responsibility.
Right.
So that's how I continue to keep her alive, because there's work I need to do to take things further, to
Right.
continue. She made a lot of sacrifices for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do I pay her back?
Right.
By continuing the race.
Wow. Thank you. Like, seriously, because there's so many times where people lose someone, whether it's a mom, whether it's a dad, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whomever you lose. And it's like we lose, like we feel like the race is over. We can't go on because that person was such a big part of our existence and our being that it's too hard to even think about continuing on. It almost debilitates our every existence, our mind, our body, and our spirit. So the fact that you've kind of pivoted your pain into a powerful experience by racing, like you said, she just passed you the baton. And it sounded like it took you some time to think of it that way, because you said you were angry with God.
Angry, I
Yeah.
was bitter,
Uh-huh.
filled with regret, shame, guilt.
Yeah.
But God communicates with us in an interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was able to find grace,
Yeah.
peace, and understanding that she took me as far as she could take me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I had to take it further on my own. She gave me the tools that I needed to go on. Everything she could possibly give me, she gave it to me. Now it was her time to rest, and now is the time for me to continue on. So I could pass the baton to someone else one day,
Right.
because that's the flow of life.
Yeah. And I like that you were able to identify the stages of grief. You identified the stages of grief. You went through denial. You went through anger. You went through, bargaining with God. Like, why did you take her? And then you went through the last step, which is acceptance. You accepted it for what it was, and you also transformed it, which is it just kind of ties into who you are as a person. You're transformational speaking, but it's really transformational living. And it's so powerful to hear that. And I'm thankful that you're being so honest, because I know it resonates with so many of us who've lost people before, who are dear to us and who we miss and who we wanted to race with to the end of the finish line, but couldn't for whatever reason.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I'll say, one of the things I learned in that experience is, like, don't wait until you have the perfect amount of money to take someone you love out for a night on the town, because when you're ready, that person may not be there. Don't get caught up in trying to create a perfect moment, because that moment may never come. Cherish your loved ones while they're still present, because time on earth with a loved one, with a mom, is a privilege. It's not a right.
Yes. A privilege. It is a privilege. So, okay. So how do you carry on your mother's legacy? I know you've said so many beautiful things and what you do and the race and carrying the baton, but is there anything else that you do to honor your mom who's not physically here?
Well, funny, my mother was always giving things away. She's always giving clothes away. She's always giving money away, always giving food away. She was a great cook. So whenever someone was getting married or someone was having some type of festivity, she would always cook. And when they would try to give her the money, she wouldn't take it. Right. So in other words, my mother was a philanthropist. So what I like to say is, because of that, I started a nonprofit where we give services to the community and they don't have to pay. And that's one of the ways that I continue her legacy, to give to people who are in need, to support people on their journey.
Mm.
And then, for some people might say, like, I have my mother on my screen, on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, maybe it's traumatic, maybe it's not good. But for me, that gives me strength. When I look at my phone, I see my mom.
Yeah.
It's a reminder. I
Mm-hmm.
pass you the baton. What are you going to do today?
Mm.
How are you going to change the world today with this baton in your hand, because you can't drop it?
Yeah. Wow. So the constant reminder, the strength, the giving, the love that sounds like your mom had for you, you were carrying her legacy by not only carrying the baton of, giving, but transforming and loving and just being someone who's a light. So I appreciate that about you. What advice can you share with those who are grieving right now for their mom and haven't yet reached that acceptance point in their grieving process?
First thing I'll say is, it's okay to feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to feel. There's nothing wrong with feeling. Even till today, sometimes I'll cry. I'll be driving and I'll pull over and I just start crying. And I'll cry as long as I need to cry. And I wipe my eyes and I keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll listen to certain music that reminds me of her. And in that moment, I'll be in that moment. So to me, it's okay to feel, but don't let that moment define you.
Right.
Don't let that moment define how you treat people or how you treat yourself.
Right.
You can feel, but don't let how you feel define who you are.
Right.
So like you said earlier, it's not about what happens to us. It's about the way we react to what happens to us. So we can be angry. We can be in denial, right? We can feel sad. We can have all those emotions, and that's okay. Don't let anyone tell you that you shouldn't be feeling this way, that you should be strong. No, you can feel.
Yeah.
Feel, and then keep it moving.
Yeah. I always say feel and heal. When you identify the emotion and the feeling, you're able to understand it, comprehend it, digest it, sit on it, and then understand where you need to, implement some coping strategies, some tools that can keep you going.
And then there's a book.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book that I read. Let me see if I could. There's a book that I read after my mom passed.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real good book. It's called The Rules of Inheritance.
Rules. Do you know who it's by?
It's by a lady named Claire Bidwell Smith.
Claire what?
Claire Bidwell Smith. So Claire Bidwell Bidwell. Last name in Smith.
Okay.
The Rules of Inheritance.
Okay.
That book, she spoke about the different stages of grief. Without me saying too much of the book, but she was grieving.
Yeah.
For both parents.
Mm.
And so sometimes when we're grieving, it's good to see how someone else has went through it.
Yeah.
Success.
Right.
So implement some of their strategies onto our life. Like, you don't have to go through it alone.
Right.
You don't have to go through anything alone. So yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for a resource. So I want to read some of the comments before we wrap up with you, because there's so many and they're so empowering, because you were so empowering. So Aronica said, so amazing. Lindsay said, being able to share how you've come back from the poor choices is everything. It's never too late. Nurture without bias. Yes. Aronica said, mother's love no matter what. Sarah said, everlasting with the heart. Ivy said, I definitely see that with my mom as well. Ive, what were you talking about in terms of, do you remember?
Sorry, I was just talking about like the mother-son relationship, and when you were like, oh, her son could say boo, and my mom would be like, that's definitely my mom too.
Yeah. And Lindsay said, I've seen that all throughout my life. It's so true. Nothing like that mother-son bond. Lanisha said unconditional. Veronica said, love, love, no limitations. Lanisha says, so powerful. Thank you for your vulnerability. She is immersed in her love for you. That's beautiful. And then Brianna said, both of my grandmothers have each lost a son. I see the way my grandmother hurts, and as much as she loves her other kids and grandkids, there's an open wound no Band-Aid or stitch could heal. And the same, Lindsay said the same. My grandmother passed last year, but my uncle died in 97, and she talked about him all the time until her passing last year. The love is so unconditional and unbiased, like you said, Royal. And Veronica said, she knows you're doing amazing things. Sarah said, amen. Have to forgive yourself. Ivy said, she's in the front seat and has the best view to see everything you're accomplishing. She's immensely proud. Amen. Lindsay said, it had just begun. Amen. That's good. From Kathleen. Amen. Your turn, and you are taking it to new depths. No worries, doll. Yes, forgiveness is a huge step, especially towards yourself. It's a marathon. Pass the baton. 2 of my closest friends have lost their mothers. Although healing is never linear, I love being able to laugh with them and talk about their moms with them, reminiscing on the good times and keeping their presence alive. And there's so many more, but I mean, how does that make you feel? And this wasn't a part of the question, but how does that make you feel hearing that?
I feel love. I feel love. I feel understanding and support, knowing that I'm not in this alone.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I appreciate you. Everyone's so thankful for you being so vulnerable. Lanisha did say, wow, thank you. I have Black men listening here they want to know how you battled toxic masculinity alone without your mom or support. Great question.
How do I battle toxic masculinity? First of all, the only validation I need is my own validation. So, in a case like that, I allow myself to feel. I'm not really concerned with, how I'm perceived in my, when I'm grieving or when I'm going through different things. So, I allow myself to feel. And I think I have the support that loves me without bias as well.
Okay. So.
Can I comment on something really fast?
Of course.
I just wanted to comment, Royal, on how you were talking about having the photo of your mom, and some people might look at it as, maybe like it's too traumatic or something, but I think there's something so special and sacred about always being able to keep their physical presence alive, and not pretending like they were never here in such a huge part of your life. And I know everyone deals with things differently, but there's just something so powerful about that. So I truly appreciate you saying that. And even like, I lost someone really close to me, and I have so much of her stuff here in my house, and my friend came over and she's like, this isn't like, weird. And I'm like, no, like, she loved me. So it's like having her here with me 24/7. So I just really appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a way. It's my loyalty to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's always here with me everywhere I go. She's here. She's present.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you fight, I guess, toxic masculinity by just being your radical self. I think that we in society often pair men, especially Black men. Society says Black men are supposed to not have emotions. Black men cannot feel. Black men cannot heal, because you have to get it together and move on. You have to be this strong, angry, but powerful figure in your family and get over it. And the fact that you can physically be strong and emotionally be vulnerable is the real strength. It's a strength that I pray that more men, but especially Black men, because that's who who most of us, love and can relate to the most, that they get in the habit of feeling, because there's no way possible that you can be all that you can be without feeling every step of the way.
Amen.
So thank you for your radical truth, your radical love, and your radical you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my testimony.
Of course. And I want to make sure everyone else can follow you, can support you. So will you please write your business, the RTI Empowerment Center, your Facebook, anything that you want people to follow you on to support your business, please follow this man. He's a great community leader, transformational speaker, and honestly, someone who definitely models, his truth fully. All right. So last speaker of the evening, and this is my girl. This is, we pray together on voice message over Instagram. And it doesn't even feel weird. It just feels like natural. So I want to introduce Lindsay. She is someone who I also met this year. I've been meeting some amazing people this year, and I'm just so grateful. But Lindsay is a digital storyteller, a mompreneur. She loves creating digital content and embodies depth and creates a space for real life-changing experiences. Lindsay is someone who is not just digitally creative, but spiritually creative, mompreneur creative, just someone who is a light, someone whose energy radiates far beyond her creativity. And I am so happy to have you as our last speaker of the evening because of who you are and what you do, and your spirit resonates with mine. I'm such a spirit person. I ask God to, move me in the way that he sees fit, and he's moved me towards you. So I appreciate you, and I want to just let people get to know you a little bit more. So who's Lindsay?
Well, first of all, thank you. Just thank you for this space, Pilar, and the whole Empower Our Crown team and board. This is just a great space, and thanks for having me. Royal and Sarah, you were great. You set the tone for everything. I'm probably going to piggyback on some of the things that you said. So I just want to thank you for that, Pilar. Thanks for having me. Lindsay, who is Lindsay? Lindsay is, I would say, first, a daughter of the king first. You have to know who you are, whose you are, before you can start defining yourself in other realms. And so, because that's what helps you kind of move in your purpose. So yes, I'm a mom. I have a 5-year-old. His name is Avery. So that, son and mom and son relationship that was talked about before, I definitely see that even in these primary years. And so it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that evolves as he gets older. I am a digital storyteller. I am the founder and CEO of Social You Digital. It is a production company primarily based to really tell and share the powerful stories of organizations, people who have brands, individuals who have special projects, and really, I really promote telling your authentic story. A lot of times we talk about, what do you do? Where did you go to school? And those are kind of surfacey questions that you don't really get to know, like who the person is, like deeper, in deeper depths. So I really like creating digital content that really provokes conversation that we can really engage in real life. I'm also a host of a show on Boston Neighborhood Network called Around Town, where we highlight different stories and different people around the Boston neighborhood. I've been doing that for 4.5 years. And I'm a friend. I'm a mover and shaker. I love dancing as well. So on the side, I do now a lot of virtual dance fitness classes. So you can definitely catch me on my Instagram doing that stuff. So I do a lot. I do a lot. And but first and foremost, before any of those roles, I am a mom. That is my first assignment. That is my first priority. And anything that I'm doing has to fit around that. And so, yeah, I'm thankful for this space to talk about motherhood because we are very, very important.
You are the most important. And I'm so happy that you're in the space, just being able to show and highlight all that you do, because you do so much. I know we have conversations about all that you do, but I think it's so helpful to hear how you do that on top of being a mom. I know you said being a mom is your first assignment.
Yes.
And being a mom isn't like just a one size fits all toolkit. So it's like, how could you be a mom, be a digital storyteller, be a Zumba instructor, be a this and a that, and really like maintain you, like sustain you, Lindsay?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I'm a creative person at heart. You know, before I was a mother, I think you really have to know what you like to do, what's your passion, what's your God-given purpose, what in the prayer that my mother said, that impartation, what do you impart in other people's lives? And so I, was blessed and solid enough to kind of know that before motherhood. Definitely had my struggles once I got transitioned into being a first-time mother, but I think I knew those things about myself first. And so when I became a mother, I was very intentional about still being in the creative space. Whether I had to like put my business on hold for a little bit, just take a little bit of clients, or, so that I could work and get money up so that I could provide for my son and just get back on my feet. But I think it just comes with knowing and assessing who you are and what you like to do and what you're passionate about. And I think for me, I was just very intentional about staying on that path. And not letting it go just because I was now a mom and I was going through different transitions in being a first-time mom.
So knowing who you are, being intentional in who you want to be. And
definitely.
Yeah, that's dope.
Definitely.
Okay. So how do you define motherhood?
How do I define motherhood? Like Sarah said, I've been thinking about that question too, because it could have so many layers to it. How do I define motherhood? I would say I define it by how my son reacts to me. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm doing everything right, because there is no manual to this. Like, no one, even if you have a mom that's alive and, I'm very close with my mom and she's been a very great example, but I'm a different person than she is. So being a first-time mom for me, it was really trying because I was just used to being on the go, traveling, being in my career. And for me, it wasn't planned, me being a mom. So it was a very trying time, especially the first 3 years. I was in a relationship that was on and off, kind of like Sarah. I was actually in a long distance relationship while I was in college. Me and Avery's dad was together for like 5-6 years, but then it was like on and off and it just didn't work out. But I think how my son reacts to me, like that feeling safe, that he can come and talk to me, that, he's not feeling timid or ashamed to tell me certain things. Like I find success in that because it's important to listen to and see how your children are reacting to what you're doing, because we don't always do everything right? So being able to be humble enough to listen, being humble enough to listen is very, very key, because like Sarah said, like we're adults and we've been here longer. So a lot of the times we think that we know it all. But when you're humble enough to listen and say, hey, well, how did that make you feel? Like, do you want to go to this thing? Do you want to go to this event? Do you want to, just having that, that conversation and remembering that your child is a person, and they have feelings and they have thoughts and they have, things that they can impart to you, even the Bible says like, out of the mouth of babes, and sometimes my son says some really profound things, simple things, but very profound things. And so we really have to be, as mothers and as guardians and adults, be humble enough to listen and to hear what they're saying. And I find success in that. So when my son says, oh, mommy, I just love you. And I'm just like, he'll say that randomly. And I'm just like, why do you love me? He's like, because you've been working so hard. You've been working so hard and you have so many jobs. So that's what's success to me. He goes with me everywhere at Boston Neighborhood Network. So he's like always on the computers, always playing with the cameras. So he's like my little production assistant. I incorporate him in my brand. I'm big on that because, I have the support of my family, but there are some times where it's just like, I'm in this alone, I got to do everything alone. So, I really check in with him and assess how he's feeling. And that's what success to me as a mother and as a parent, being able to see what I'm doing and what I'm imparting into him is actually, advancing him and developing him in a good way. So I would say being humble enough to listen to our children and being able to hear what they have to say is the successful part for me.
I love hearing that. Like, I'm like cheesing because I just know growing up, like our generation of parents, they weren't humble enough to listen to us. It was like, you do this, and this is what I say, and that's just what it is. There's no conversation because I'm the adult and you're the child. But that humility in listening and having your child impart how they feel on you is so essential. It is so essential. So Avery has such a good mom. Avery has such a good mom. I met Avery, and he's just so shy. Like, but he ain't really shy. You're like,
No. He's not shy. He has a little bit of me too, because I can be like reserved at first and, discerning when I come around a new group of people. Right. Like, I'm bubbly, but I kind of like check you out a little bit. And, as a kid, that safety is a big, big piece. Like we all said, and so they want to discern and feel and kind of look to see, am I safe here? Am I safe with you? Are you trustworthy? And so Avery has a lot of that.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love hearing that. Like, and I was just going to say that, Raka, kids are your mirror. They are going to do what you do. How you model. Like, that's why I love that Sarah was able to say that earlier, like what I've been through, I try to teach my son the same thing so he could see what to do. And it sounds like you do the same thing. You're modeling to Avery humility, listening, flexibility, but hard work too. Like, you're coming to work with me today.
Oh yeah.
He can say, Mommy, I love you because you work so hard. Like, he's going to always remember that, like your hard work, your love, and your humility. Yeah. And that's like, it's so special. And I think we take that for granted sometimes because adults get in this power struggle of, I'm the adult, you're the child, but children are sponges. What we instill in them, they impart in their life journey, not just back to us. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. And if I could just add one more thing to that too, as well, like something as of recent too, because we've been homeschooling during this, pandemic, but I've been intentional about like, okay, recess time, we're like gonna go outside, we're gonna ride the scooter, make sure we're covered with, with our mask and stuff. And so one day he got up and he was just like, okay, so after work, like, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? So that just is success to me because it shows me that he knows structure, and he knows like something else, he expects something else, you know, because that's what I've been consistently doing. So those are the kinds of things when I hear and I listen to him, that's what success to me as a mom.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And what would you say a typical day looks like? I think you kind of alluded to this already, your busy schedule, but what does that look like being a mom for you?
I think because I do so many things, I really try to think about that quiet downtime where we can just like sit on the bed or sit on the couch or, you know, just have some time at the dinner table in the kitchen and just, you know, just listen to each other and just talk. Like, you know, I'll say like, how are you feeling today, Avery? Or how did you feel about that? Or just, you know, again, listening with a very, very intentional ear.
Yeah.
And, you know, he'll say certain things. And then he's in that age where it's just kind of like, sometimes you don't know context. So he says certain things and I'm just like, what are you talking about? But, you know, I just listen, I have that eye contact, but because I do so much, it's always in the back of my mind. Like because being a mother is my first priority. I'm just like, I have to make that time to sit and talk with him and see how he's feeling, see what's going on at school with his other peers and all that kind of stuff. So I lost my train of thought as well too. So what was the question again?
The question was, what does a typical day look like for you being a mom, you know, with your schedule? Yeah.
Well, you know, because now everything is so different.
Yeah.
Not getting up and going to school and bringing him to school. I've actually taken this time. I look at it as a blessing.
Yeah.
Because just us as a society, we were just always running. I got to do this. I got to make it to this place. And I've noticed since this time of stillness where I've been able to say, well, dang, I can take more time to eat longer. You know what I'm saying? Even for like a lunch break or something, like I can actually enjoy my food and digest it. But I think it's just different now. I just take moments to really, really sit and chat with him, moments of stillness and moments of fun too.
Yeah.
And not being so rigid, you know. I think that we can learn a lot from our children when it's not such a rigid and environment, you know, which is kind of like let you be free, let you create. And as a creative, I'm big on that. You know, let's paint, you know, let's play a game. Like, what are you feeling about this? Let's dance, let's listen to some music. So there's more time for that now that it's not like, let's get up so early in the morning, 5, 6 in the morning, let's get you to school so I can go to work, so I can go to this time of rest and stillness and being able to put things in perspective. These last couple of months have been really, really great. So a typical day is, you know, the normal getting up, doing the school thing, saying affirmations. You know, you can do all things through Christ. You know, he knows that scripture. That is the first scripture that I actually, you know, imparted to him because, you know, as little kids, you're just kind of like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not that fast. I hear him say that. And I'm just like, no, you can do it. Because why? You can do all things through who? You know? So just having this time to really take the time to be intentional about just spending time.
Yeah, I love that, Lindsay. Spending time, being intentional, you know, imparting Christ, like you impart your Christly ways and to your son, and we can feel it. We can feel it through the phone, the computer, that you are very intentional with your relationship with him, and such a good model of that stillness, but also of structure and also hard work. You know, you can do all things. And I think sometimes we think that we have to choose one over the other? Like, how can I be very hardworking and have stillness? And the fact that you can create that like reality for him is powerful, because balance is key. So thank you so much. You're doing so well as a mom. With that being said, what is your motherly superpower? Sounds like you have so many, but what is your motherly superpower?
Answering these questions sometimes are so weird, because I feel like, you know, as an interviewer and like somebody who like gleans stories from other people, I'm just like, it's what other people say about me, not, you know what I mean? But my superpower, I would say, is I would go back to the, you know, being able to be multifaceted and being in different spaces. You know, I can be professional and on set in a business meeting, but I'm that mom that's just like, you know, we have a field trip. We have a K1 field trip. I want to be a chaperone, like, you know, so just being able to be in different spaces and show that versatility of who I am, because that also, what's important to me is also building community. Not everybody does the same things. Not everybody has the same gifts and talents, but because I do so many things, I'm able to meet so many different people and share their stories and hear their stories and just get to know people in a different way. And so I even feel like that with children, and with, you know, with my son, I'm able to learn him in different areas and different facets, because, you know, I'm so multifaceted in different ways, and being able to expose him to different things because I'm multifaceted. So I would say that.
Yeah, I love it. You're a multifaceted superhero, super mom. You know, that's amazing to be able to do so many things, but be present in the things that you're doing in the moment. That's a gift, you know, because there are a lot of people who cannot balance that many things and be present for everything that they have on their plate. So shout out to you and Avery. The last question of the evening, for me at least, is if you could encourage other mothers out there on how to be a good mom, what would you say?
Well, you know, this series is called the Sunday Self-Care series, right? And I think for moms especially, self-care is huge, and self-care can look differently for everyone. And for me, I know when I was going through a lot of my trials, and to touch a little bit on that, you know, I was living in Syracuse, New York. I was actually working for Syracuse University. That is my alma mater. And, you know, I was pregnant up there, and then I came back to Boston, where my family is at actually 9 months. I came back at 9 months, and just being able, I went through a lot of transitions mentally. I was ashamed. I wasn't doing that well financially. So when like Royale talked about like coming, bad choices and coming back from that resonates very deeply with me, because I still feel like I'm on that track of coming back from bad choices or just, you know, life experiences. What I would say is, you know, I would piggyback on that, like, feel what you feel and don't be ashamed of your story. Like, don't be ashamed of your story. When I came back, I didn't have money. I didn't have a job. I had a master's, and I went through a postpartum and I didn't even know it. I was going through postpartum depression. I didn't know it because I was just so focused on working so that I could make ends meet.
Right.
And then I also was going through a depression because I'm a creative and I love to be in creative spaces. And I felt like having a newborn and not having much help, of course, the support of my family, but at the end of the day, it's just me. You know, I felt in a box, like I have to get out, you know, like I have to get back to my creative. And I just kind of felt like a failure because I didn't have like my creative tribe here yet. I was just in the house. I was, you know, I was a new mother. It was all new to me. But I would say after like a good year, I was just like, I can't feel this way anymore. I can't stay here. And so it was a real like a mind shift for me. You know, I was very intentional about like, okay, Lindsay, this is what it is. The relationship with Avery's dad is not working out. You know, it's okay. It's not what you had perceived, you know, what your expectations, you know, and sometimes we have to not lower our expectations, but not have such high expectations. And at that point, I already had saw patterns of what things were going to be. So just living in the reality of what things are, not blaming anybody, and like shifting your mindset, you know, because I was like, oh, I don't have money, I don't have that. And it would just make me feel worse. So it's just like, so Lindsay, what are you going to do about it? You know, how are you going to be intentional about making other relationships with other creatives that you can grow with, you know, and you can grow your business with. So I would say like that mind shift is key for you know, for moms. The mind shift is key, and being intentional about putting yourself around other moms too, so that that's good for your mental health. At the time, you know, I was a first time mother, so a lot of my friends were single, or, you know, if they did have kids, they were married. So I didn't feel like, oh, we don't really have any, you know, I don't like have a partner steady like that. So, you know, I don't really belong, but it's like, you do belong, you know? And through that, I was able, when I was bold enough and, you know, to tell my story, I always knew that I wanted to do a documentary when I came out of, I got my master's in broadcast journalism and, you know, digital creation. So I knew I always wanted to do like a long form film, but I just didn't know what that was going to be on. So when I came back to Boston and I went through this first time motherhood experience, I was just like, I can't be the only one that's going through this. I can't be the only one that's feeling this way. And so what am I going to do to not only get myself out of this rut, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything, but how can I create a community? Because I know I'm not the only one. I started my Working Mothers documentary, which I am still in production, and there's going to be some things rolling out this year, actually soon. So I have interviewed over 12 moms in the Boston area, just highlighting the trials and triumphs of motherhood and what that looks like. And what I also wanted to do is just tear down the narratives of what a working mother, you know, is, or, you know, working mother of color, because automatically you feel like, oh, they're a single mother. No, there was plenty of mothers that I interviewed that were married or, you know, in long-term relationships with their children's father, and still the onus and the responsibilities and the pressure, the same pressures were still on them. So it's like, even though we had different stories, we had the same story, you know? So what I would say is, and this is kind of what the values that Social You Digital is founded upon, is authenticity and transparency. Things that you are ashamed of. And Kurt, he's on the call, or I don't know if he's still on the call, but he had just shared something on Facebook that said, you know, other people might miss their blessing because you're too ashamed to tell the story. You know, tell your own story. And so that, you know, 5 years ago really resonated with me. And so I said, I got to shift this narrative. I got to get out of this rut, and I have to do something in my creativity and passion, which also birth purpose. So, which is creating a community of moms that can really be authentic and share our story and be a support to each other. So I would say, yeah, shift the way you think, get yourself out of the rut, create community, or just create whatever you want to create, whatever that is. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but
you dropped several gems, you know. shifting the way you think, changing the narrative, not being ashamed of who and what you are, and really taking a leap of faith. That's what it sounds like you've done in your journey, is like just owning who you are. That ownership of the authentic you is, it's an unparalleled experience, because no one's you. No one can share your story in the way that you share your story, and no one can manifest the life that you live in the way that you live it. It's like God had a plan for you. You were in a rut, and this seems like it's been a common theme, tonight. We've been in a rut. We had to have some mind shifts. We had to change our narrative. And now look at all three of you, honestly, have just changed the narrative and transformed, whether it's through motherhood or being on the opposite side of motherhood, being the son, transforming our stories. Yes. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, Lindsay, for that. You are someone who does that constantly. And I know you're usually the one interviewing. You interview me. So I was like, well, now I'm going to interview her. Like, no, sub.
It's been great. It's been great.
You're amazing. And all of you are amazing. But before we wrap up, I do want to just read some of the things that people are saying to you, Lindsay. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And also, Brianna is going to share with us some resources for moms. I know that Kathleen said she's a newlywed, and it's great information for the future, so you guys really inspired all of us. I'm not a mom yet. I'm not sure of anybody else's status, but I know that that's very inspiring to be able to be authentically you in your motherhood. And something that for me, I took out of it is just really being mindful, humble, and listening to your child. So some things other people said, let's see. They love it. It's powerful, from Sarah. Yes, from Veronica. Lanisha said, yes, thank you for sharing that it's okay to step away from being a mom first. Thank you for sacrificing to be a mom first. Sorry, Lanisha. And then Sarah said, for them to be able to voice their emotions, it's so important. Veronica, kids know more than we think. Sarah, today my son was upset at me and asked if I need to seek some advice on how to be nicer. LOL. And kids are our mirror. We are awakening as a collective. Royal said, amen. Being humble enough to listen to our children is the successful part to me. That is success. That's deep. Their feelings, their opinion, and their energy also matter. Darlene said, yes, I learned to truly be humble myself when my daughter started to gain understanding of her world, especially if I was at fault for something, right down to the smallest thing. And I feel like it has created this bigger bond between us.
Yes. Yes,
Manisha said, what's something you know now about balancing parenting and your career that you wish you knew at the beginning of your journey of motherhood?
Something I know now. Okay. Yep, I got it. I think I had, like, the first year especially, I kind of had this like spirit of entitlement. Like, my family is here to help me, but like, I gotta do this, I gotta be here. Why can't you watch Avery? Like, why can't you do it? And I think that was also like one of the like excuses that I was making, that was I was holding my own self back from like doing the things that I could do. But just saying to yourself, you can, even with a child, you can still do the same things that, you set out to do, that you were doing before without them. Of course, it has to be adjusted a little bit. You have to be intentional about how you're going to go about it. Maybe it can't be as much, but it can be done. And so one thing that I wish I would have done earlier was just not to embrace that a little bit more, like how I take Avery and I incorporate him in my brand, and I don't use him as an excuse, like, oh, I can't do it because like I'm a mom, like, I can't. No, I wish you can do it, and it makes it even more impactful to others who are watching, who think that they can't do it. Because my whole purpose is to show that we all can do this. Like, you know, we're in this together. So that's one thing that I wish I would have done earlier.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Everyone's saying you're so empowering. You're so grateful for your mindset. You know, mindset is everything. Community is key. We have to create community in this. You know, back to your point, Sarah, about being collective. Like, we have to do this collectively. Motherhood is not just one person. It's a hood of mothers. You know, it's a hood of communities that are able to come together and do the thing that they do best. And that's changing the narrative, so that the next generation of people are able to model what you instill, what you birth and impart upon them. So thank you, everyone. Brianna, can you share your resources? Yes, claps for our speakers tonight. They were amazing. Can't wait to put this on our YouTube channel. And now, Brianna.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it on the screen. So it's not multiple resources, but just a resource that I think could be really helpful for just about everyone. And it's the podcast Therapy for Black Girls, which I'm not sure if everyone listens to. But I highlighted some of the sessions that I feel really stand out, you know, specifically for motherhood. And I think that whether it's you working on your relationship with your own mom or working on your relationship with your children as a mom and trying to be like, you know, every mom that you can possibly be, these resources can really help you. So let me go ahead and I just want to share the document if I can. I don't see it here. Hold on.
Lindsay, how can we follow you when Brianna's searching for that? Could you just put in your information?
Definitely. On Instagram, my personal is at Lindsay, Lindsey D Briggs. I can put it in the chat probably so you guys can see it. And then my business page is Social You Digital. Let me do this. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Oh, nice.
And if you want to see like the ongoing production of the documentary, the hashtag is Working Mothers Doc. And also my dance fitness classes is LB Dance Fit. Awesome. That's how you can find and connect with me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So yeah, these are just the sessions that are specific for motherhood, like I was mentioning, but they're all highlighted here if you want to take a picture of it or a screenshot. And you can find the podcast on Spotify or Apple Music, or even just on the Therapy for Black Girls website. You can listen to them all. But I even found that it really helped me strengthen my own relationship with my mom and understanding her as a parent and the way that I used to look at her versus the way that I'm able to see her now. And even like the session around managing struggles with fertility, or for a session around when Mother's Day is painful. So I think that Dr. Joy Braden Hartford just does a lot of work around helping us holistically, but these ones are, like I said, specific to parenting. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. And we can probably send this out too, just in case you're not able to capture it. But we did put this together and we can send it out also.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
That's really good. Well, if you want it, I know Brianna's a huge fan of Therapy for Black Girls, and I actually, Brianna was listening to it the other day.
The best free resource in the world, I kid you not. It's so good.
But thank you again, everyone, for taking the time. This is typically an hour session, but we extended the time tonight really to honor the mothers, really to honor each individual speaker and their story and their transformation, whether through motherhood or just through life. I think life is always unpredictable. You know, we never really know what's to come, and to be able to highlight people who adjust so well and roll with the punches and highlight their truths and speak their truth into power is something that we do every weekend. Every Sunday, we come and we do this to highlight people, whether we have 9 people to 30 people, we're here. We're here to honor those that we serve, our community, and we're collective. We make sure that we are really imparting mental health and wellness and self-care, and really seeing that self-care has so many moving parts. You know, it's not a one size fits all, but it's imperative as we're growing as people, as individuals, as communities. So thank you again for everyone who tuned in. If you aren't following Empower Our Crown, please follow us at Empower Our Crown on Instagram. We are growing. Our baby is birthed and growing, and we're blessed. So I hope everyone has a good night. Shout out to the mothers. Happy Mother's Day again. Royal, Sarah, Lindsay, thank you so much for your time. Everyone else, thank you for your time. You could be anywhere else today and you're here with us, so we appreciate you. We love you, and have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.